student employees are the heart of the Turchin Center for the Visual Arts. Ordinarily, they do everything from host workshops and open studio spaces in our classrooms to welcome guests and protect artwork in the galleries. And the past few months have been a huge change for them. We've been inspired by their ability to continue to adapt, connect, and contribute to their own artistic practices. When we were faced with the challenge of finding an alternate program for an Appalachian Summer Festival, we felt it was so important to showcase our student staff and highlight the important role that they play in making the Turchin Center the dynamic and accessible art center that it is. We hope you enjoy this feature on student Hannah Hagler, who helps us with our arts education and outreach programming. We knew we wouldn't be able to film and ask Hannah these questions, so we sent her a list of questions. She recorded herself answering them. Hannah's been a great asset to our program, and we are excited to share her and introduce her to you today.
Hi, my name is Hannah Hagler. I'm an art education major here at App State, and I am from Monroe, North Carolina. I think my official job title at the Turchin Center is an outreach assistant. But the jobs that I've had there, I was a painting assistant for the Monday night paint nights. I was a substitute teacher for the after-school elementary program Blazing Easels, and I'm also an online instructor for the Blazing Easels program. What brought you to the Turchin Center? Why did you want to work in an art center or art gallery on campus? So, fun thing, yeah, so I was actually recruited, which was like so flattering. But I got an email from one of my peers who was in my art ed classes, and she was like, yo, do you want to do this thing? And I was like, yo, yes. I really don't think I could have responded like quicker than I did. I was so excited. I'll admit that I didn't know much about it, but I've really just like jumped at the opportunity to be able to honestly work at the Turchin. It feels like the utmost like point of art community on campus, and I wanted to be a part of that so badly. I think that's just like such an important thing to do as an artist, is to get involved in the community and to like stretch your limbs a little bit. And that's exactly what I wanted to do, and oh my goodness, like I was just so excited. How has the Turchin Center impacted your college career or your career as an artist/educator? Oh my goodness. So much. It has impacted my experience so much. With the art education program on campus, and I will not diss it at all. Like, I love my major. I love everybody I work with. But we have field experiences that we have to go out and do. And I guess a lot of these field experiences are observing. And of course, like, we make lesson plans and we plan everything out like in our classes, and it's all like, this is what I would do, but it almost feels like in theory, like if I was out in the field, like this is the lesson plan I would do and this is how I would execute it. And so I feel like Blazing Easels and the Turchin gave me this opportunity to be able to be a teacher, which of course like my education is training me for, but I felt like I really got firsthand experience in actually doing this and making lesson plans and executing them and just seeing like the final product all together, and it was so satisfying, and I am just, oh my lord, like so thankful. And that has been such a fantastic experience that I truly don't know where I could have gotten it elsewhere. I have a concentration with art education. You have to like concentrate in a specific medium or specific mediums, and I have a concentration in drawing and painting. But I also really enjoy textile arts, like embroidering and sewing and quilting. Oh my god, like I love, like I used to do all that with my grandma when I was growing up, and we like lived with them for a little bit, and that was like our thing to do, was like textile. And so, oh my god, when I got to App State and I was like, there's textiles here? Like I didn't know that people thought that was like art. That sounds really like small-minded, but that's true. That's absolutely true. I saw that there was like all the different expanses of like art practices that they offered as classes here, like oh my God, like metal smithing and textiles and even paper making. I was like, this is so exciting. Art just like, I feel has like such this positive effect on people, and I definitely recognize its positive effect in me, and that's absolutely why I'm in this field. Art makes you feel good, and I would love to spread that to future generations. Like, you have to make art. Absolutely. Like, art is so important, and art makes you feel important, and I think that is important. It doesn't matter what like the end product is, and you're not working towards something, you're just kind of doing it in the moment, and because it makes me happy. Like, I love doing just like tiny little illustrations of animals, like doing like human things. Like, I don't know what it is, but it makes me so happy. Um, but I guess I also do draw lots of people, and I love nature and flowers and all sorts of fun stuff. I wish I could like turn my phone around and like show you my room. It's just like a jungle in here, like up against my window. um, but I guess what really inspires me are probably, as silly as it is, like those tiny little animals and just like the way it feels to create art. Like, of course, like the tiny animals like feel great all the time. But even when I'm creating like proper like paintings, say for like my art classes or doing photography or any of like my assignments, I guess for school, it always feels so nice just to get in the process and start doing it, and like you kind of get in like that headspace, and you just kind of like lose sense, but it like feels good. So going back to the little animals, that's really been what I've working on, I guess, since quarantine has happened. I have a really close-knit friend group here in Boone, and I love all of my friends to death. And so like when quarantine happened, it was like we went off for spring break, and everybody else I didn't get to say goodbye to, all my friends who were graduating, who I was so worried. I was like, what if I never see these people again? Oh my God, I could like get so sad about it. um, and I was messaging, I was in like this little group chat with like two of my really close friends, and I was like, oh my God, what, like, well, it wasn't even like me who came up with the idea. It was one of my other friends, Sadie, and she was like, we should write letters to each other. I was like, oh my God, yes. I would love to. Like that, oh, tears. I was so happy, and it just felt like such like this little thing, and there's something so sweet about like pen pals. I used to do that when I was little with like my mom and my brother. Like, we would have pen pals from like around the world, and what I would do with those pen pals is I'd do like little tiny drawings, and I was like, I want to do that again. It really made me feel, I guess, connected to my friends, and it made me feel nice to like make, I guess, something for them or make a gift and know that like hopefully it would make them smile, and that they'd like look at that and be like, oh my God, Hannah made that for me. And like, I don't know, like I wanted them to feel special and let them know that like I was missing them and thinking about them. Nothing about COVID is fun, let me like get that straight. But it was fun being home. Like, I will say that. Like, I'm back in my apartment in Boone now, but I was home in Monroe for a little bit. And it's not my childhood home. We actually just moved like this past month, which was crazy. But I had all of, like my childhood like craft stuff. So I had like oven baked clay and stuff that was just like stashed in my closet, and like all these like jewelry kits and like yarn and crochet needles. And I, like, when I wasn't making the little cards for my friends, and when I wasn't working on schoolwork or something for Blazing Easels or sleeping and eating, I was like exploring the stuff in my room. We talk about that a lot in our art classes, where we talk about non-consequential art, and that was a new concept to me before. Like when I was first going into App and I first had my art ed classes, they were like, let's make art that doesn't mean anything. And I was like, that goes against everything I know about art. Art has to mean something. Art has to have a purpose. And that's not true. That is absolutely not true. If you want to sit down and like doodle smiley faces over and over and over again and never show anybody, like that's absolutely art. If you want to make earrings that you don't give to anybody and you just keep for yourself, like these, and like that's absolutely art. If you want to make these huge paintings that you put in art galleries, of course that's art. Like if you create something, I can be controversial about this, but my personal definition of what art is so broad. To get lost in the process is honestly like my goal whenever I'm creating art. Like that like feel good part of art, like that's great. That's like what life's about. My goal as an art teacher is, of course, one, to make my students feel safe, comfortable while like exploring and creating art that is my love and my passion, and I hope to be theirs as well. But there's also something to say for art and academia and like practicing and studying, and like the opportunities that I've had here at Appalachian are incredible. But of course, like taking time to make art in your own time and your own practice is just as important as doing it on a professor's time or in a classroom. You grow as much from other people as you do from your practice and from your professors. Like you do, I think I've learned so much, even like if I talk about Blazing Easels, and I'll get emotional too because I love these girls so much, that my two colleagues who I work with, I will name drop them because I'm proud of them, like Lily and Brianna, I love you guys. They are such fantastic people and they are going to make such fantastic teachers one day. And I am so thankful for the experience to be able to work alongside them and be able to see their own teaching practices and their views. And I feel like I've grown so much just from knowing them. The people part of art, I think, is so important. And like that, I feel like is where you really do grow. And I think that has been kind of snipped short with COVID, and being in quarantine, where of course like you have to, like for the sake of your safety and everybody else's safety, like stay inside and wear masks, and but you do have to cut yourself off. And of course like that is the right thing to do, and lots of people talk about it, but there is such like an emotional toll that takes on you. I think what I've been craving now, of course everybody is like in this like self-isolation, is the community aspect of art, and I'm absolutely missing it. And I keep thinking like, oh, when things go back to normal, and there's going to be a new normal, and I hope there's a new normal as to how we interact with each other to make sure that we can crack down on this thing. But that community aspect and sharing your own art with people, but then also being attentive to other people's art and what their art's about and how are their practices. And you learn so much from your own experience, but absolutely the same goes for other people's experience. Like you learn from your teachers and your professors, but you absolutely learn from your peers just as much. Community and growing from the experience of others and this shared. And if you're nervous to do it in person, find online groups, like, and especially that's the easiest time to do that now when everything's online. But you've got to share your art, and you've got to be attentive to other people's art and really actively listen and observe others and their own art practices, because you will find something you have not seen before and you will think it's the greatest, and you'll be like, why didn't I think of that? And it will cause your own practice to grow immensely. I so appreciate this opportunity, and Christy and Shauna, love you guys so much, and thank you guys.